Hi everyone, it's your favorite CAD addict, Best of Delta. I hope you're all doing great. So today we are going to be looking at exercise 16. In our previous video we looked at exercise 16, and if you've been following up with my tutorial videos, you will agree with me that exercise 16 was a little bit tough, but at the end we were able to reproduce it. So we are going to be looking at something closely related to what we did in exercise 16, which is exercise 17. As well, this is not going to be easy, but if you're following these tutorial videos, you will be able to reproduce it. Alright, so quickly let's dive into the business of today. I'll go down to CAD. Alright, so first thing first, as usual, we'll start off by creating layers. So I believe by now we already know how to create layers, but if you are a new comer or a first timer here, I will advise you go back to watching my previous videos, so I'll be able to follow suit on how to create layers and probably get updated on other informations you might have missed. Alright, so I'll go straight to creating layers now. Alright, I'm gonna make our layer color is always yellow. Alright, I'm gonna be using cyan. Alright, so our layer color is cyan. Then we'll create another layer called dimension layer. This is going to be serving as our dimension layer. Alright, so the color of our dimension is going to be blue. Right, so okay, so for now we'll be using these 3 layers. If the need arises to create more layers, we'll do so. Alright, so once you're done creating layers, you go straight to where my cursor is right now. You click on it to close the layers dialog box. Alright, so first off, you're gonna start by creating construction line. So I'm going to choose the construction layer. How do you do that? You go to the layers ribbon, you click on drop down menu of the layers ribbon, then you click on construct one layer to make it our current layer. Once you've done that, you go straight to the draw ribbon, click on the drop down menu of the draw ribbon, then you click on construction line. So having done that, we're going to be starting off from the origin. So I'll go straight to my keyboard and type 0, 0 to tell CAD that we're going to start off from the origin. Alright, so I'll type in 0, 0 and press enter on the keyboard. Alright, once you do that, your construction line is going to lock to the origin of our UCS icon, just exactly as you're seeing right now on the screen. Okay, so with the head of the object snap tool turned on, you can lock our construction line to either the vertical direction at 90 degrees, and as well lock the construction line to the horizontal at 0 degrees. So let's do that. I'll lock the construction line, vertical construction line at 90 degrees to the vertical, lock another construction line at 0 degrees to the horizontal. Alright, so once you've done, I'll press escape key on the keyboard to exit the command. As you can see, this UCS icon is kind of getting on the way, so I'm going to click on it and then I'll right click. Okay, and then you take your cursor straight to the very last option on this dialog box. You deselect show UCS icon at origin. Right, once you do that, it will get the UCS icon out of the way of our drawing. Alright, so now we've gotten the vertical and horizontal construction lines. Next up, I'm going to pan a little bit because I want the center or the point of intersection of these construction lines to come a little bit to the right. Alright, so I'll do that. I'll go to the right of my screen, this panel on the right of my screen here where my cursor is right now. Then you click on pan to. Alright, click on pan to, then you drag to any direction you want your drawing to be. Alright, so I'll drag it to the right because I need it, this point of intersection to come to the right. So if I'm okay with this position, I will just leave it right here. So how am I doing this? You press hold the left button on the mouse, then you drag to any direction. These are taken. Alright, so we'll proceed. We'll go back to our PDF document to get the dimensions we need for this drawing. Alright, so back to our PDF document. Okay, so I want us to start off our drawing from this cycle, this last cycle we are seeing here. So what's the radius of this cycle? According to our PDF document, the radius of this cycle is 65 millimeters. Alright, so we'll go back to CAD and we'll draw in these cycles of radius 65 millimeters. So before I do that, we're still on the construction layer, so I have to go back to our main layer, which is the 0 layer. Alright, so you go to the layers ribbon, click on the drop down menu of the layers ribbon, then you select the 0 layer, which is our main layer. Click on it to make it our current layer. Once you've done that, then you go straight to the draw ribbon, then you click on the cycle tool. Alright, once you click on the cycle to ensure your cursor locks to the point of intersection of this construction line. As you can see, our cursor is not locking to that point of intersection. Why is this happening? Alright, it's because we do not have the point of intersection selected in object snap tool menu. So to do that, we'll go to the bottom right of our screen, then you click on the drop down menu of the object snap tool, then we ensure the intersection option is selected, ensure endpoint and midpoint is selected as well. I think we might be needing this option, so I will just going to select them for now. Okay, then I ensure the center point is as well selected. So once you've done that, we can close the object snap tool, then we'll go back to our drawing. Now as you can see, our cursor can now easily lock to this point of intersection. Alright, so ensure it locks to the point of intersection, then you left click on the mouse, then you can easily type in the radius we need, and the radius of according to our PDF document is 65 millimeters. So I'll just go ahead and type in 65, then press enter on the keyboard. Now as you can see, the circle is very small. It's right there, but it's very small, so I'll need to zoom out so that I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Alright, so to zoom out, you can use the rotary part of your mouse to zoom out. Okay, so I will zoom out now. I'll zoom out, then I'll pan to bring our drawing to the screen. I'll zoom out and pan until I get a size I'm comfortable with. So I think this size is okay for now, so I'll leave it at this. I'll press escape key on the keyboard to exit the current command. So next up, we are go back to our PDF document to get more dimensions. Alright, so here right in this cycle, inscribed in this cycle are other smaller cycles of radius 6 millimeters. Alright, so from the outside of this smaller cycle to the circumference of the larger cycle is 29 millimeters of distance. It's a distance of 29 millimeters. Now 29 millimeters, when you add 6 millimeters to 29 millimeters, that will leave us with about 35 millimeters a distance. So from the center point of this smaller cycle to the circumference of a larger cycle is a distance in total of 35 millimeters. Alright, that means these cycles, these smaller cycles inscribed in the larger cycle, are lined off on a cycle coming off, sharing same center with a larger cycle with a radius of 30 millimeters. Yes, with a radius of 30 millimeters. So with a radius of 30 millimeters, so these smaller cycles are lined on the centers of these smaller cycles are lined on another cycle sharing same center with our larger cycle of radius 30 millimeters. Alright, so how did we get that? So we subtracted the 35 millimeters we got from the radius of this larger cycle, which is 65 millimeters. Take away 35 millimeters from 65, we'll be left with what? 30 millimeters. Alright, so we are going to produce another cycle Okay, we are going to produce another cycle, but since we don't really need that cycle, it's not the main line we're looking for, we are going to be using construction line to produce that cycle. Construction lines are just a means to an end. All right, all we need that construction line for is just to help us locate the center point of these smaller cycles. All right, so let's do that. So I'll go back to CAD. Alright, go back to CAD. Ensure you make the construction layer our current layer. I believe you already know how to do that by now, so I'll just quickly do that without much explanations. I'll go straight to the drawing board, click on cycle, ensure my cursor locks to the point of intersection. Then I'll type in the radius, which is 30 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard. Next up, we're going to produce another construction line, an angular construction line at an angle of 45 degrees, and inclined at an angle of 45 degrees. Okay, and we'll lock it to the center point of this drawing. All right, all this is done in attempt to locate the center points of our smaller cycles inscribed in the larger cycle. So I'll go down to the draw ribbon, click on the drop down menu of the draw ribbon, then I'll click on construction line. All right, then we type A for angular, then we type in the angle we need, which is 45 degrees, and press enter on the keyboard. So I'll take my cursor down to this center point of a larger cycle, then I'll lock it to this center point by left clicking on the mouse. Now that's exactly what we need right there. So the center point of those this smaller cycle, this point here, this point of intersection between this cycle of radius 30 millimeters and this angular construction line, this point of intersection is the center point of our smaller cycle of radius 6 millimeters. All right, so since we have succeeded in getting the center point of the smaller cycles, I'll go back to our main layer. All right, click on the 0 layer to make it our current layer. Then I'll go to the cycle tool, click on it, then I'll lock my cursor to this point of intersection. Now type in the radius 6 millimeters, then press enter on the keyboard. Now that's what we need. Now next up, to make our work easier, there is no need to start drawing in these smaller cycles one after the other. So we can use a tool called the polar array. So the polar array will help us to reproduce a similar object or a similar drawing with exact dimensions, okay, around a chosen center point. All right, so to do that, you go to the modify ribbon. Now go to the modify ribbon and you click on the drop down menu of the array tool, which then will select polar array. Under this drop down menu, we have the rectangular array, and we have the path array, and we have the polar array. As we proceed, we will be using all these options. All right, but for now we'll be using the polar array tool. All right, so I'll click on it. Then once you do that, the card will prompt you to select the object you want to array. Now the object we want to array is this smaller cycle, so I'll come straight down to where this object is. Then I will left click on the mouse and drag drag the mouse over this image to select it. All right, then you left click, then you can press enter on the keyboard. Now CAD is asking us, under this command prompt, is asking us to specify center point of array. Now the center point of this array is here at the center of our larger cycle, so we'll click on it by left clicking on the mouse. Now these are the smaller cycles, just like we have in our PDF documents. All right, now here at the array dialog box, you have a means to change the number of items you need. Here what we have here is 6, and this number of smaller cycles we have here is 6. So with this tab, you'll be able to change the number of cycles you need. And right over here, you can as well make changes to the angles of this or the distance between each of these cycles. All right, so I believe we don't need to make any other changes here, so I'll just go ahead to close this dialog box, the array dialog box, by clicking on this point where my cursor is right now. Okay, so we've succeeded in producing those smaller cycles. So go back to our PDF document to produce to get more dimensions. All right, so we are done with this part. So next up, we want to locate this point, this cycle here, to the left of our larger cycle. We want to locate the center point of this cycle, and I swear, yes, so that let's do that. To do that, as you can see, we have a distance. The center point of our larger cycle, distance between the center point of larger cycle and this smaller cycle to the left of our larger cycle is 18 millimeters. That's the vertical distance between them. All right, so then talking about the horizontal distance between this larger cycle and the smaller cycle to our left, when you sum up these numbers here, all right, 37 plus 78 millimeters, that should give us what? That should be give us around 80, that is 115. Yes, 115 plus 43, 115 plus 43, that should give us 158. all right, so the total horizontal distance in these two cycles is 158 millimeters. all right, the total horizontal distance to the center points of this cycle is 158 millimeters. So we are going to offset. all right, we are going to offset, do some offsetting. all right, so let's go back to our PDF document. We are going to offset this vertical construction line here, where this one my cursor is on right now. We are going to offset it to the left at a distance of 158 millimeters, and offset this horizontal line where my cursor right now, offset it upwards at a distance of 18 millimeters. Now the point of intersection of these construction lines we are going to be producing will be serving as the center point of our smaller cycle to the left of our larger cycle, according to what we are seeing on our PDF document. all right, so quickly let's do that. You go to the modifier one, click on the offset to. all right, you click on offset to, then you go straight to the line you want to offset. Okay, before you do that, you have to type in the distance, the offset distance. So I want us to offset this vertical construction line first. So I'm going to type in the distance, which is 158 millimeters. Then press enter on the keyboard. Now next up, you click on the line you want to offset. Now this is the line I want to offset. I'll place my cursor right on the line, then I'll left click. Now use the mouse to give direction to CAD, telling CAD the direction I need the offset construction line to be. So we need it to the left of our larger line, so I will take my cursor to the left. all right, then I'll left click. Now next up, we are going to offset this horizontal line at a vertical distance of 18 millimeters. So I'll still go back to the modifier ribbon. Now I'll click on offset. I'll type in the offset distance, which is 18 millimeters. Then I'll press enter on the keyboard. all right, so then you click on the line you want to offset. We're offsetting upwards. all right, so I'll take my cursor upwards, giving direction to CAD on the direction which we need the offset construction line. So next up, that's it. Then I can press escape key on the keyboard to exit the offset command. So next up, now this point of intersection right here, this point of intersection will be serving as the center point of our smaller cycle to the left of our larger cycle. all right, so we'll go back to PDF document to get the dimension of that cycle. Yeah, so the dimension, the radius of this cycle is 26 millimeters. Yes, 26 millimeters. So let's do that. We are already on our main layer, so we can go to the draw ribbon, click on the cycle tool, lock your cursor to this point of intersection, now type in the radius of the cycle, which is 26 millimeters, and press enter on the keyboard. Now that's our cycle right there. As you can see, it's kind of small, so I'm going to zoom out so you see what I'm doing clearly. So I will use the rotary pad to zoom out. Okay, then I'll drag by clicking on the palm tool. So this is what we need right now. I think I'm comfortable with this. So let's proceed with other part of this drawing. So back to our PDF document. Now next up, as you can see, where my from where my cursor is right now, we have other part of this smaller cycle that we need to draw in. So right here we have a smaller cycle. of radius 10 millimeters. Then we have other parts, a kind of a part of joint protruding out of this smaller cycle of radius 10 millimeters. This line is trying to form a kind of star. Yes, so in order to draw in these lines protruding out of these smaller cycles inscribed in this larger cycle, first off we need to draw in this smaller cycle of radius 10 millimeters. Then we'll have to produce another cycle. Yes, we'll produce another cycle. How do we now get the measurement of this cycle? We are going to be producing with a construction line, because we don't really need that cycle. We are just using it as a means and end to locate the end point of these lines protruding out of the smaller cycles. So to locate the dimension, or to get a dimension of this cycle, we have to do some kind of little maths. So the distance between these protrudings from the circumference of this larger cycle is 8. Yes, is 8 millimeters. So we'll take away 8 millimeters from the radius of the larger cycle, which is 26. Take away 8 from 26, we'll be left with 18 millimeters. Alright, so the dimension of that cycle is going to be 18 millimeters radius. So right now we're going to be producing two cycles, one with our main line, which is of dimension 10 millimeters, another with a construction line of dimension 18 millimeters. So we'll go back to CAD and produce that. I hope I'm not too fast. Alright, so let's do that. Guess I'll take the next parts slowly, so I'll be able to follow what I'm doing. So back to CAD. Alright, so we'll go to our draw ribbon, click on the cycle tool, lock our cursor to this center point of this cycle. Radius of this cycle is 10 millimeters. So I'll type in terms and I press enter on the keyboard. Next up, we'll go to our construction layer, click on it, then we'll click on the cycle to produce, lock our cursor to this point of intersection, then we'll produce another cycle of radius 18 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard. So that's what we need. So next up, as you can see, this protrudings, back to our PDF document, as you can see, the protrudings around this smaller cycle is 8 in numbers. Alright, so just like we did producing this using polar array to produce these smaller cycles, we are also as we are going to be using polar array to produce these protrudings as well. But before I do that, we need to locate a construction line inclined at an angle 45 degrees. So let's produce our construction line. We are already on our construction layer, so we can go to the draw diamond of the draw ribbon, then we can click on construction line. Once you've done that, you type in A for angular, then you can type in the angle we need, which is 45 degrees, and press enter on the keyboard. Lock your cursor to the center point of these cycles, then you left click on the mouse to place our construction line right there. So next up, back at PDF document, the measurement of the width of these protrudings is is 3 millimeters. So it's 3 millimeters. So right here we are going to be setting this angular construction line on both sides at a distance of 1.5 millimeters. Alright, so you go to the modifier and click on offset. Click on offset, then you type in the offset distance, which is 1.5 millimeters, then press enter on the keyboard. Then you can click on the line you want to offset. We are offsetting to both sides at a distance, both sides of this line at a distance of 1.5 millimeters, altogether giving us the total width of 3 millimeters. Alright, so let's do that. Click on the line offset to the right, click on the line offset to the left. So that's our line right there. So next up, so from this circumference of this smaller cycle to the circumference of this line, this cycle we draw in with a construction line will give us the total length of that protruding. So that is the purpose of this cycle here. So the purpose of this angular construction line is to give us the width. All right, as you have just done now, it just to aid us get the width of these protrudings. All right, so since we have gotten the dimension and the position of those lines, next up we'll go back to our main layer. Go to the layers ribbon, click on drop down menu of the layers ribbon, then you click on the zero layer to make the zero layer, which is our main layer, our current layer. Then next up you go to the draw ribbon, click on line 2, click line 2. all right, once you've done that, you simply lock your cursor to the point position or point of intersection of this construction line where my cursor is right now, to reproduce the protrudings we are seeing from our PDF document. Then just click on it by left clicking on the mouse, go to name points of intersection, click on it, do same here, click on it, then back to this point. All right, then click on it. So now we've succeeded in producing wholly one protruding from that from what, or a replica of the protrudings from what we are seeing in our PDF document. So next up, as you can see, this construction line is construction lines is becoming much here, so making our drawing a little bit confusing. So I want you to see what is going on here, so I'm going to turn off this construction line for the time being. All right, so I'll go to the draw down menu, click on the of the layers ribbon, then I'll click on this light bulb right beside the construct one layer. Then I'll click on it to turn off the construction line. Now that's what it does. So next up, as you can see from our PDF document, there is no line here in between. Yes, although it's line on circumference of this smaller cycle, but there's no line here. All right, so we need to use the trim command to get rid of that line. All right, so we are going to use the trim command to get rid of this line here. All right, so go to the modifier ribbon, then you click on the trim tool. All right, click on the trim tool, then press enter on the keyboard to select every object in the model space. All right, so we'll go to the line we want to get rid of. The trim tool helps you to get rid of any part of the drawing you don't want. So we don't need this part of the drawing here, this circumference of the cycle here, so we are going to click on it to get rid of it. It's a kind of like deleting the part of the drawing you don't want. All right, so I'll click on this part of the circumference of the cycle to get rid of it by left clicking on the mouse. So yes, that's exactly what it does. So we can press escape key on the keyboard to exit the trim command and proceed with other parts of the drawing. All right, so since we've done that, so we'll be needing yes, we'll be using our polar array. Since we have 8 protrudings in number from our PDF document, so we'll be using the polar array to reproduce or to get a replica of that drawing 8 in numbers. We do not have to go through the stress of producing all these projects one after the other. That is going to take a whole lot of time, and purpose of CAD is to save time, which we don't have. All right, so let's do that. We'll use the polar array. So go back to our PDF, our CAD, then go to the modifier ribbon. All right, then you click on the polar array tool. All right, CAD will now ask you to select the part of the object or the drawing you want to array. So I will come down straight close to where I have the object I want to array. Then I'll left click on the mouse, then I'll drag it over the object I want to array and close it in this rectangular in this rectangular box. Yes, in this rectangular alight. Then I'll left click on the mouse to select it. Once you've done that, you press enter on the keyboard to select the object. So next up, it will ask you to specify the center point of array, which is the center of the smaller cycle. I'll lock the cursor to this center. Then I'll left click on the mouse. All right, so as you can see, the protrusion is just 6 in numbers, but what we need is 8 in number. We need 8 of them. So I'll go to the polar array dialog box where my cursor is right now, right at this point where we have 6. I'll click on it. I'll change it to 8. all right, change it to 8, then press enter on the keyboard. So that's what we need. We now have 8 protruding. So next up, we'll go ahead and start trimming off these points. All right, so I'm going to zoom out so I see what is going on here. So I'll pan a little. Okay, so I'll press escape key. So I'll close the polar array dialog box by clicking on this point right here, left click on the mouse. So next up, we are going to trim off these parts. this part of the this part on the circumference of the cycle that we don't need. All right, so I'll go to trim, click on the trim command, press enter on the keyboard to select all the objects in the model space. All right, so I'll click on the circumference part of the cycles that I don't need. I'll click on this. I don't need this. I'll be clicking on the parts that I don't need just to get rid of them. So that's it. All right, so that concludes that part of the drawing. So I'll pan to centralize our drawing. Okay, so we'll go back to our PDF document to get more dimensions of our drawing. Okay, now we've done justice to this part of drawing. Next up is to reproduce this part here. All right, so how do we do that? So we are going to offset the we are going to offset that vertical construction line right at the center of our larger cycle. Now this cycle we are seeing here, where my cursor is right now, there is a construction line there passing through the center of this, a vertical construction line passing through the center of this larger cycle. We are going to be offsetting it to the left at a distance, just as indicated in this PDF document, at a distance of 78 millimeters. Then offset this other construction line at a distance of 37 millimeters. All right, then we'll so let's do that first. All right, back to CAD. We have to, at this point, we have to turn back on the construction lines. So come to the draw diamond of the layers ribbon, then you click on this. Yes, click on construction, the light bulb right beside construct one layer to turn back on the construction lines. So that's it. So go to offset, go to my file, click on offset, type in the offset distance, which is 78 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard. We're offsetting this vertical construction line to the left at a distance of 78 millimeters this way. Then we'll offset this other construction line at a distance of 37 millimeters. So click on offset, type in the offset distance 37, press enter on the keyboard, click on the line you want to offset. This is the line we're offsetting, so I'll click on it to the left as well. So we have gotten those construction lines. So back to our PDF document. Next up, as you can see, we have an horizontal, we have a main line here, an horizontal main line. Okay, and as you can see, it started off from this larger cycle. All right, it started off, it's touching the cycle at one particular point. That is a tangent line. All right, a tangent line coming up from the larger cycle. So how do we get that tangent line? To do that, we are going to use a tool called the tangent the tangent option under the object snap tool. Go straight to the bottom right of the screen, click on the object snap tool, or you can use the keyboard shortcut F3 to get it. So as you can see, we have the tangent option already selected, but for the purpose of avoiding difficulties in locating the tangent point on this larger cycle, we have to deselect some of the object snap options, which is this we have to deselect intersection, center, midpoint, endpoint, and the rest of them. We'll only have to leave tangent point because we don't want to experience difficulties locating the tangent points. So next up, we are going to offset this. Before I do that, we're going to offset this horizontal construction line. Yes, we are going to offset it at a distance of 65 millimeters because we need a construction line to lie off right on the circumference of this cycle. All right, so I will go to the offset tool by going to my file and click on offset, type in the offset distance, which is 65 millimeters, press enter, then you click on line you want to offset. We're offsetting downwards here, so we need that's the line we need right there. So next up, press escape key on the keyboard to exit the offset command. So we'll pan a little bit upwards. So now press escape to exit the pan tool. So like I said, we need a main line here starting off at a tangent point from the larger cycle. So we'll go to the drawing board, click the line tool, click line tool. We're already on the current layer, so you click line tool, then we'll locate the tangent point of this cycle. As you can see, once I place my cursor above this large cycle, you see this circular a kind of circular indication telling us giving us tangent points on the larger cycle. All right, so I'll just select any of the tangent points right here. Now drag the line straight up to this point of intersection of this construction line. That's where a line is going to end for now. So as you can see, it's not locking to that point of intersection. So I'll go back without exiting this command. Without exiting it, I'll go back to the object now, to which is at the bottom right of the screen. So select back the intersection option, select it, then close it back, then you go back to CAD, lock your cursor. Now it locks to that point of intersection. Okay, so that's what the object snap tool does. It helps us to locate a tangent point and other important points in our drawing. So I'll lock my cursor to this point of intersection, then drag it over down to this other point of intersection, lock it to that point, then come down this way, lock it on that cycle. All right, so that's what we need. So we'll go back to our PDF document. Next up, as you can see, we have other lines here. All right, so we are going to be offsetting to get this line. I'm going to be offsetting these other lines here. Where my cursor is right now, we offset this at a distance of 20 millimeters. Offset this as well as a distance of 20 millimeters. Then while right here, we are going to offset at a distance of 18 millimeters. So let's do that. Back to CAD. Alright, go to modify ribbon, click on offset command. Alright, once you've done that, type in the offset distance, which is 20 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard. We offset this at a distance of 20 millimeters upwards. Alright, so click on it, then take the cursor upwards. That's what we need. Alright, do same with this line here. This line inclined 20 millimeters. Then over here, we'll type in the without offsetting, we can easily, because the distance between these two construction line is still 18 millimeters, so there's no need to offset. We just produce a horizontal and horizontal main line there. All right, just click the line tool, locate this point of intersection where my cursor is right now, left click on the mouse, then you can draw down to this point. Take to any point, any distance of your choice. Okay, then left click on the mouse. So that's all we need for now. Then you can press escape key on the keyboard. So next up, as you can see, we don't need this part of the line here. We don't need this part. We don't also need this part here. Alright, so we use the trim command to get rid of it. You can easily type in the trim command on the keyboard using the command prompt, or you can go to the modify ribbon, then you click on trim, click trim. Okay, you click trim, then press enter on the keyboard to select all the objects in the model space. Then go to the lines you don't need, then you simply click on them to get rid of these lines. We don't need these lines, so I'm going to click on it. Click on it. We don't need that, so I'll click on it. We don't need this, I'll click on it. So next up, as you can see, I'm going to zoom out too, because okay, so we don't need this part of the line. As you can see, we have a smaller part of the line that is we are not able to trim, so I'm going to zoom out so I see it clearly. All right, let's do that again. So I'll zoom out using the rotary part of my mouse. Now I'll click on this part. We don't need this line here. Okay, so I'll click on it to get rid of it. Then you can zoom back in. All right, so done with that. So next up, we'll go back to our PDF document. As you can see, what we have in our car right now is a kind of a straight edge, but in our PDF document we have a curved edge here. We have a curved edge here, and we have a curved edge here. All right, so in order to get these curved edges, we have to use a tool called the fillet tool. All right, we use the fillet tool to achieve those curvings. All right, so we'll go back to our CAD to do that. So before we do that, let's get the fillet radius. Here at this point we have a fillet radius of 20 millimeters. Over here we have a fillet radius of 12 millimeters. Okay, so let's put in those curvings right now. So here where we have this straight edge, we are going to convert it to a curve. So to do that, we'll go to the modify ribbon, then we'll click on the fillet tool. Once you've done that, you type in R for radius, then press enter on the keyboard, then you type in the fillet radius, which is 20 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard, then you click on the edges, on the lines that forms these edges. to convert it to a curve. All right, so this is what we need here. So I'll click on the line here. Sorry, I will have to do that, okay, so that you see. I'm going to turn off these construction lines and I will do it so that you see what is going on. All right, so I will press Ctrl Z on the keyboard to redo the command. So next up, I'll go to this drop down menu, turn off the construction lines. So yes, that's what I need, so that you see what is going on here. So go to my fiber, click on fillet, type arrow for radius, then type in the fillet radius, which is 20 millimeters. Press enter on the keyboard. Now I'll click on this end here, this line here. Now click on this other line that forms this straight edge to convert it to a curve of radius 20 millimeters. So here we still need to convert this to a curve. What's the fillet radius there? Here, okay, the fillet radius here is 12 millimeters. So we'll go back to CAD, go to the fillet tool, click on it, then press and type in arrow for radius, then type in the fillet radius, which is 12. Press enter on the keyboard. Then you can click on the lines you don't need. All right, click on the lines you want to convert, or the edge you want to convert a curve, which is this point right here. Click on it. Now I've gotten a curve right there. So right at this point, we also need a curve, not a straight. It's not straight according to our PDF document, and the fillet radius there is 10. Yes, it's 10 millimeters. So using same approach, click on fillet tool. Here my cursor is right now. Click on it to select the fillet tool, then type in arrow for radius, then type in the fillet radius, which is 10. Press enter on the keyboard. Click on the edges you want to convert to curve. All right, that's what we need now. Okay, so that has done it. So next up here, we still need curves here. We need curve right there. So let's get the dimensions. All right, so the curve here, the radius here is 5 millimeters, while the radius at this head is 10 millimeters. So let's put in those curves. All right, so back to fillet radius, fillet tool, click on it, arrow for radius, type in the radius, which is 5. Click on the edges you want to convert, this point and this point right here. Again, fillet radius, arrow for radius, type in the radius, which is 10. Press enter on the keyboard, then click on the fillet on the lines you want to convert to curve. So that is it. So that is it. So next up, we'll continue with other parts of drawing. So I'm going to pan this to centralize this drawing. I will turn back on the construction lines. Okay, now what we need these lines here to intercept. All right, we need it to intercept, so at the end we're able to use fillet radius to convert it to a curve, just like we did with other edges, all these other straight edges. All right, so to do that, I'll go to the yes, we are already on our current our main layer, which is our current layer. So to do that, I will have to click on this line, because I need to use the stretch tool to ensure that these two lines, this line and this line here, intercept. All right, so to do that, I'll use the stretch tool. I'll click on this node here, I'll click on it, then all right, I'll click on it. Now stretch it over to this point. All right, stretch it over so that it cuts across this horizontal main line here. All right, so then you left click on the mouse to leave it at that point. So next up, press escape key on the keyboard to exit that command. Then we'll go back to turn off the construction lines. All right, so we'll use the trim command to get rid of these extended lines. Right, all we need is just for these two lines to intercept at this point, which is what we have done. So next up, we'll use the trim tool to get rid of the extended lines. Click on the trim, go to the modify ribbon, or simply type in trim in the command in the command prompt, then press enter on the keyboard, then press enter again, select object in the model space, then go to lines you don't need, click on them to get rid of them. All right, so that is it. So now the next problem here is to convert this straight edge to a curve. All right, so we'll go to a PDF document to get the radius of this curve that I want to produce. All right, PDF. Yeah, the radius is 14 millimeters. All right, so we'll go back to our CAD. Then we'll go to the modify ribbon, then you click on fillet 2, or you can easily type in fillet using the command front fillet, then press enter. Then you type in arrow for radius, then type in the fillet radius, which is 14, and press enter on the keyboard. Then you click on the edge, on the lines that forms this straight edge to get the fillet, to get the curve. That's it. That's it. Okay, so we'll proceed with other parts of drawing. So we'll go back to our PDF document. All right, next up, we are done with this part. So next up, we want to produce this, yes, this bigger a kind of a arc, this arc that touches these two cycles at tangent points. All right, it's touching these two cycles at tangent points. So let's try to produce this arc. How do we do this? We are going to use a tool. We are going to use a cycle to call the tan radius. All right, so click on drop down menu of this. Sorry, I was too fast with that. Let's take that again. So to produce the curve that touches these two cycles at tangent points, we'll use a cycle tool called the tan radius. So to do that, we'll go to our draw ribbon, then you go straight to the cycle tool, click on drop down menu of the cycle tool, then you come to the tan radius option, you left click on the mouse to select it. So that's all we need. So next up, we'll locate the tangent points by placing our cursor on the cycles to locate the tangent point on each of these cycles. All right, so we need a tangent line here. Yes, this should be the first tangent point. So I'll click on this point, come to the other cycle, click on this other point to be the other tangent point on the cycle. Then I will now type in the radius of the curve, or the of the arc we need, which is 180 from our PDF document. Then press enter on the keyboard. Now that is it. So next up, now we've succeeded in producing a cycle, but what we need is an arc. All right, an arc that touches those two cycles at tangent points. Now we have produced a big cycle that is touching the two other smaller cycles at tangent points. So all we need to do now is to get rid of the other part of the cycle that we don't need. So in order to do that, we use the trim command. So go to the keyboard, just simply type in the trim command, press enter on the keyboard, press enter again to select all the objects in the model space. Then we'll go to the line we don't need, click on it to get rid of that line. All right, so we don't need this part of the cycle, so I'll place my cursor right above the line, the part of cycle we don't need, then we'll left click. All right, to left click to do that. Now we've gotten, now as you can see, I will zoom in a little bit so you see what is going on. Now that is our curve right there. Okay, that's our curve right there. So I will pan to centralize this drawing. So we'll go back to our PDF document. I believe we still have other parts of drawing to put in. All right, so as you can see, we are going to offset this arc that we just drew in at a distance of 20 millimeters. All right, in order to get this line here, so we offset that line at that arc at a distance of 20 millimeters. So let's do that. Back to CAD, press escape key to exit the pan command, escape key again. Let's pan again, so as our drawing is no longer centralized. So I'll pan again to centralize it. Then we'll go straight ahead to offset to get that line. So offset at a distance of 20 millimeters, type in 20 and press enter on the keyboard, click on the line you want to offset, which is this arc right here. So we are setting it downwards. I'll click on it, take my cursor downwards. Alright, so that's what we need. So next up, we'll use the trim command to get these other lines that is extending out of the point we need it. So I will press escape to exit the trim command. I will read yes, click on the trim command because we need the trim command, press enter. Alright, then I'll click on the lines we don't need this line, so I'll click on it, we don't need as well. We don't need this as well. As you can see, it's not trimming this line. That's because it's not in cutting across any other line. So we'll just simply click on the line there to select it, then press delete on the keyboard. So that's it. So next up, as from our PDF document, these lines here, we don't have a straight edge there, so we need a curved edge. So to do that, we'll still use the fillet tool. All right, but before we do that, let's get the dimension of those curves. Right at this edge to the right, the fillet radius is 14 millimeters, while to the left the fillet radius is 12 millimeters. So let's go back to CAD to put in those radius. All right, so type in fillet on the keyboard, press enter. All right, so sorry, let's do that again. That didn't go well. Go to the command line, type in fillet, press enter on the keyboard, then type in arrow for radius, press enter on the keyboard. The fillet radius is 14 millimeters to the right, so type in for them, press enter on the keyboard. Now go to the straight edge. You need to put in the curve, then click on the lines that form this straight edge on both ends. Now that's what we need. Click on it. So next up, to the left we have a fillet radius of 12 millimeters. Using same approach, type in fillet in the command line, press enter, type in arrow for radius, press enter, type in the fillet radius, which is 12, press enter on the keyboard. Now we click on the lines that forms this straight edge, click on it on the two lines. Right, so that is it. That's what we need. I believe we've done justice to this drawing in total. Let's do some comparisons by looking at the one we have in our PDF document and the one that we just finished drawing in. Okay, yeah, that is nice. I believe we've done a nice job. If you've gotten to this point, you've gotten this far, kudos. You've done well by listening to me, by waiting till this very moment. Now your reward is this. Your reward is this. Yes, this is your reward. What do I call it? Joy of craftsmanship. All right, that's what you get when you are this patient. All right, so we've really done justice to this drawing. So next up, we should put in the dimensions, so that if we have a workman or a machinist that want to reproduce this shape, they will know exactly what to do by putting in the dimensions. Be able to tell whoever that's going to be reading this, or the engineer that is going to be going through this, the dimensions he or she will be needing to reproduce this shape. All right, so let's do that. Go to the layers ribbon, click on drop down of the last ribbon, then you click on the dimension layer. All right, once you've done that, then you go to the annotation ribbon, you click on the dimension tool. Yes, then you go to the parts that you want to dimension. We need the dimension, or the dimension of this cycle. You click on it. As you can see, the dimension text is still very small. So in order to make changes to this, we'll go to the drop down menu of the annotation ribbon where my cursor is right now. Left click on the mouse, then you go straight to the dimension style. Yes, click on where my cursor is right now, the second option on this drop down menu. You click on the dimension style, click on it, then you go straight. Here, where are the dimension style manager dialog box? We have a preview screen. Now the preview screen is going to show you the effect of whatever changes you are going to be making. All right, so but before I do that, let's go to the modify ribbon. In order to effect some changes, we need to change the text height because we are not comfortable with it. It's too small. So in order to effect those changes, we'll go to the modify tab. Here on this dialog box where my cursor is right now, click on the modify tab. All right, we'll get another dialog box. Here at the dialog box, you go to the text tab. All right, where my cursor is right now, click on the text tab. All right, here we'll have the text height. So this is where we need to make the changes. So as I'll be effecting these changes, you'll be take a look at the preview screen, and you see the effect of whatever changes I'm going to be making. All right, so I'll put in the change from 2.5. Let's change this to 5. All right, let's change it to 5. Press enter. You see the effect there at the preview screen. Okay, if you're okay with this size, you can leave it at that, but if you're not okay, you can still go ahead and make other changes. All right, so I still need to make one other changes. I will the arrow head, so I'll go back to the symbols and arrows tab. I'll click on symbol and arrows tab. This is the arrow size. All right, so I will change this to 5 as well. I'll type in my change 2.5 to 5. Press enter on the keyboard. You see the effect there, the size of the arrow head out there changed. All right, so I will still make another change. I will go to the fit tab, click on the fit tab, then I will deselect the draw dimension line between extension lines. All right, I don't need that. What I'm calling extension line, look at the previous screen here where my cursor is right now. This line through after the arrowhead, we don't need that line. All right, it's kind of cutting across our drawing, making our drawing look clumsy, and we don't need that. All right, so in order to do that, is that even the right word? Pardon me if that was not the right word, but we don't need that extension line right there. So I'm going to deselect this option. Once I deselect it, we will see the effect here at the preview screen. All right, so I'll click on this by left clicking on the mouse. So that's it. You see the effect there. So that's what all the changes we will need for now. So once you're done with all the changes, you can come straight to this point where we have okay, you left click on the mouse and then you click close to close this dialog box. All right, so we'll go back. I'll press escape to exit this command. I'll have to delete this dimension line, this pivot dimension line, then we'll do it again. Now you place your cursor on the part you want to dimension, then you left click on the mouse. So that's all we need. Now that's the dimension of this larger cycle, diameter 130. That gives us a radius of 65 millimeters. All right, we still need the dimension of this smaller cycle. Let me turn off this object snap tool. Place your cursor on the part you want to dimension, click on it. The smaller cycle is of dimension 12 millimeters in diameter. Right here, what's the dimension of this cycle here? 52 millimeters in diameter. This other smaller cycle, so is the dimension of radius 10 millimeters. Okay, what's the dimension of this? What's the radius of this arc? 180. Yes, it's 180 millimeters. Okay, what's the distance between these points? Click here. What's the distance between the center? The vertical distance between these 2 points is yes. What's the vertical distance between these 2 points? How do we do that? Okay, it's 18 millimeters. 18 millimeters. Okay, the distance between this center and this center, how do you do that? And this center, the horizontal distance is okay, is 158. Yes, 158 millimeters. Okay, at this point I will need to turn back on the construction lines. Okay, then we'll put in the dimension to get okay, let me pan a little bit. I'll take this upwards. Sorry, it's kind of link clumsy now. Okay, lock cursor to this point, lock it to this point. We need this distance here. Yes, we need this distance here. All right, 78. Lock cursor to this point. We need this. Yes, this distance here. All right. Oh, sorry, that didn't go. Let's escape to exit that command. Dimension we need is this point, from this point down to this point. Oh, that didn't go. How do we do this now? Escape. Let's try that again. Dimension. Yeah, that's 37. Correct. So next up, this distance, this point down to this point. Escape to exit that. That didn't go where. This right at this point, then this. Why is this not locking? We'll need you to be straight, man. Okay. Okay. Sorry, let's try that again. Sorry. Click on this point. This point. So yeah, what you got? So that's it. Turn off the construction lines. Click on this light bulb right there. Okay. Pan. What else are we missing in this dimension? Alright, it is something these images. I'll click on them. Sorry, let's turn back on endpoint, main point, center. Yes, and let's just leave it at that. So yeah, that's a 20 millimeters. What about this? Oh boy, let's do that again. That's 80 millimeters. We know that already. Dimension, this point, why is this not happening? Why is this not happening? What's going on? Okay, for some reason I don't know what is happening, but you already know the distance between these two lines is supposed to be 20 millimeters. Okay, if you can find a way around it, you can either leave me a comment in the comment section, or you can reach out to me through any of my social media handles. Alright, I guess this is it for today's class. This is it. So in order to see what your drawing is going to look like on paper, you can go down to the bottom left of the screen. You click on layout 1. Alright, so you click on layout 1. These are drawing right there, but we don't need these grids here in the paper space. Alright, the layout here is called the paper space. It's also known as the paper space. Alright, this is going to give you a vivid yes, a kind of a clear view on what your drawing is going to look like on paper. Alright, so that is the idea behind this paper space. Alright, so here you can as well zoom out and zoom in. All you need to do is just double click on this box right here. on this box that is enclosed in this blue borderline. All right, so once you double click this panel, this right panel here, where you have the zoom, palm tool, and the rest of them here. All right, so I will still need to zoom out. As you can see, our drawing is very small here, so I need to zoom out so that it will be visible to whoever that's going to be making use of this. So I'm going to use, I'll click on the drop down menu of the zoom tool. All right, click on the drop down menu of the zoom tool. Now I'm going to use the option called zoom rate time. All right, so zoom rate time, you left click on the mouse, press hold the left button on the mouse, then you drag to whatever extent you want until you satisfy with the zoom. You can either let go of the left button of the mouse once you are okay with the extent you need. So once you've done that, you can press escape key on the keyboard to exit the zoom tool. Then if it's not properly centralized, if your drawing is not properly centralized, you can use the pen tool to drag it to whatever point you need it to be on the paper. Alright, so I will use the pen tool since our drawing is not centralized yet. So I'll use the pen tool. If I'm okay with this position, I'll let go of the left button on the mouse. Okay, so that's it. So I'll press escape key on the keyboard to exit the pan command. Next up, as you can see, we don't need this grid here. Alright, so I will come down to this point at the bottom right of the screen where I have the grid tool here, the grid mode, or you can use the keyboard shortcut F7 to either turn on or turn off the grid mode on our paper. Alright, so I'll click on this to turn it off. So that is it. So next up, so that's exactly how our drawing is going to look like. So next up, we don't need this blue border line. Okay, we don't need it. So in order to get rid of it, we are going to create another layer called viewports. All right, we are going to create another layer called viewports. So I will come down to the layers properties, click on the layers property by left clicking on the mouse. Now right click here, a dialog box comes up, the layer properties dialog box. Now right click, I'll click on new layer. Then we'll type in the name of the new layer, viewports. Then press enter. Press enter on the keyboard. Now we shouldn't be concerned on about the color of the viewports layer since we'll be turning it off. All right, so once you're done with that, you can click this this close button right here to get close the layer property dialog box. So next up, we'll come down here. As you can see, this blue border line, the current layer of this blue border line is the dimension layer. All right, so we need to change this current layer of the blue border line to the viewports layer. All right, so we'll take it down to the viewports layer, click on it. So that's it. Now before I do that, let's exit the model space right on the paper space. Then you select the blue border line right here. It's still on the dimension layer. Then we'll change the blue border line dimension layer to the viewports layer. Okay, so that's what we need. So next up, we'll change our layer back to our main layer. So next up, you click on the blue border line, go straight to the viewports. Then you click on this light bulb symbol right beside the viewports layer to turn off the blue border line. All right, so click on it. That's it. That is what we need. Okay, so that's it. You can, if you have the time and energy, you can go ahead and draw in the title blocks and the rest, but I've already taught you on how to draw title blocks and border lines in my previous video. So if you are a first timer, do well to go back to my previous videos, watch those videos. You get hint on how to go about drawing your border and title blocks in your drawing. Okay, so that is it for today. If you have any questions or you have any difficulties while following these tutorial videos, you can reach out to me through any of my social media handles and I'll be glad to help you. If you feel there's still room for improvement in these videos, do well to reach out to me or leave me a comment in the comment section of this video. And if you don't have the PDF document yet, you can as well go to the description of this video, you click on the link there to download the PDF document for these tutorials. Alright, so that's it. Thank you for showing up, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.